a warmer day as well, with temperatures into low 20s to the south and the east. That's how it's looking. Back to you both.
Thank you, Matt. We'll see you later.
Dozens of heads of state, tens of thousands of worshippers will this morning pay their final respects to Pope Francis at his funeral mass at St. Peter's Square.
The Vatican says around 250,000 people filed past the Pope's body as he lay in state over the past 3 days. Let's speak now to Austen Ivereigh, the Pontiff's biographer, who is in the Vatican City for us this morning. Austen, very good morning to you. I wonder if you could first, I mean, it looks like an absolutely glorious day there, and we've got some various camera angles which I think are showing the area behind you. Could you give us a sort of a sense of the occasion, the atmosphere for us?
Well, the square is already full, and all the way down the what's called the Avenida della Conciliazione, the main avenue from the Tiber to the square, is absolutely packed. We've all had a struggle to get where we need to be this morning. So, yeah, an immense turnout for an extraordinarily popular Pope. But, of course, the heads of state and all the national delegations, it's a really universal moment. And that, again, fitting for Francis. He had this kind of very universal view of the world, a view of fraternity, that we're all one human family. I think today we're going to sort of see that visually behind me.
Also, I think from your vantage point there, and we can hear it at home, albeit a little in distance, we can hear the singing, the music has already begun that's filtering across that beautiful place.
Yeah, they're singing. This is called the Litany of the Saints, and all the saints are being named. Well, not all of them, but many of them, and the words "pray for him." So the idea is that the church is gathering not just here on earth, but also gathering, as it were, some help from heaven to help take Francis forward into the next stage, or the final stage of his journey. It's been an extraordinary week ever since I got the news on Monday. Obviously, a deep sense of loss for me, and it still stings, but also an immense sort of sense of gratitude for everything he gave us. And the way that he left us on Easter morning, frankly, couldn't have been more appropriate. This is the week we're celebrating the resurrection of Jesus. He dies. And of course, a lot of what we're going to be invited to reflect on at the Mass this morning will be this passage into eternal life, into new life. And so there's something, it's all very, very fitting. I said to somebody another person who knew Pope Francis very well, he was a master of timing, and he's done it again, slipping away in Easter week.
That's a wonderful way of explaining it in that way. Austen, tell us, I think everyone, whether you have a faith or no faith, has learned quite a bit more about Pope Francis over the past few days. And you knew him well, and you'd met him at numerous occasions. You chatted with him kind of informally. Can you give us people a sense of what he was like? What was so special about him that you saw and witnessed?
I actually wrote his biography before ever meeting him, and then later in 2018 we had our first sit down, and after that became close. In 2020, during lockdown COVID, we wrote a book I helped him write a book of reflections on the COVID crisis and how we could come out better. And then I think every time, really, from 21 until last December, every time I was in Rome, for some extraordinary reason, he received me. So yes, I had a lot of time with him, and he was just, everybody will say this about Francis, that it was how he made you feel was very, very special. He was a man of enormous authority. I always felt very nervous before going to see him because, the papacy is an awesome office. But once I was with him, I just felt completely at ease. He was brilliant, but he was very funny, very down to earth, didn't take himself too seriously, understood himself always to be on a mission that God had given him. And if I was to summarize that mission, Charlie, I'd say what Francis showed us was a bit of what it's like, as it were. He showed us how God is with us and how we are called to be with each other, and I can list the ways: tender, merciful, patient, at the service of others. He really embodied that, and I think what we've had this week and the extraordinary outpouring of love for him from people who have just been flooding into Rome, I think they're giving back that which they received from him. And there's something very beautiful about this exchange that's going on today as well. We're giving thanks for a great soul who served us, a big-hearted man with a universal vision, who helped us to live better with each other. And I hope some of the heads of state, you know, we live in turbulent political times. There's a lot of me first stuff going on, nationalism and so on. I hope today these heads of state feel something of that human family to which Francis, to which God, as it were, is calling us.
Well, it's a very interesting note to end on, Austen. We appreciate your expertise and thank you for sharing some of your relationship with Pope Francis. It's really interesting talking to you this morning. Thank you so much.
Thanks, John.
And I'm not sure if we still have the feed where we can hear some of the music, some of the atmosphere coming from the scene, but I think Austen gave us a real sense of that growing emotion, that sense of place this morning. If I just pause for a moment, maybe you can hear more.
The Litany of the Saints, I think Austen told us.
So just to give you a sense of some of the timing over this morning, 8:30 this morning, BBC running a special programme covering all the events to do with the funeral service. It starts at 9 a.m. and as Austen was saying, there's a lot of logistics involved, and not least all the people you can see in the square there. There are so many dignitaries, heads of state. President Trump is there, of course, so there is a lot of business to be done in terms of getting people in and out ahead of the funeral itself.
26 minutes past 7.